Wellness Show, episode number 392.
Welcome to The Wellness Show, a podcast on health and wealth. I'm your host, Tyson Bannigan, the founder of the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy. Join me as we get the latest insight, tips, and strategies from wellness providers, coaches, and successful heart-centered entrepreneurs, and much, much more. To The Wellness Show on health, wealth, and enlightenment, and I'm your host, Tyson Bannigan. And we're with you for the next hour to answer all your questions on dowsing and energy healing. And this is Personal Clearing Day, so this is your opportunity to phone in toll-free in North America, 1-866-369-7464, and receive a clearing. Help you get out of your way, take back your personal power, stand in your truth of the world. And today the topic is, not only are we going to clear you, but we're going to deal with reincarnation. Okay, so that's the topic for today. So phone in and Laurel will give you a whole reading. No.
I'll tell you all about reincarnation.
I'll tell you all about reincarnation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is quite an amazing, exciting topic, and I'm hoping people will phone in and join us with their ideas about reincarnation or what experience they have. So let me ask you, Laura, do you have any memory of any previous reincarnations?
Yes. I have one where I was in the 1850s where I lost a child. She was murdered. I think I talked about that a couple days ago. Then I had one where I was a samurai and I worked for a king or something. And then I had another one where I was in Texas as I was kind of autistic, but I was very rich landowner apparently and had lots of issues with my family. And a daughter, I always have a dog next to me, which is interesting. Always, yep. And another time, I was with an ex, and we were in a lifetime before, previous to each other, and he was like my owner and I was a slave for him, and he mistreated me a lot. So I took
How do you know that these are reincarnations, not figments of your imagination?
It's kind of like, how do I know what I know when I do a reading on you and I get it exactly right? I just know what I know.
Well, I don't know people out there. She just knows that she knows because she knows that she knows. And then she knows because anyway, yes. So yeah, it's a knowingness. Absolutely. My experience is this unknowingness. And people say, well, how do you know? Well, it's like, for me, I was standing in front of a statue in the middle of China and looking out over this amazing waterway, brilliantly designed like the Venice of China. And I was told, turn around. And I turned around and there's a statue. And I was told, that was you in a previous incarnation. Those were the words that came through. And there was Su Tung Po, who's a Chinese poet. And also he designed the whole water system for that beautiful city.
Wow.
So that was, for me, pretty clear.
So one time I was doing a woman's hair and her husband, it was spontaneous. Was when I first started doing this, and I knew that he and I were in Egypt together on mats, we were all in rows we were sitting on these mats in front of these stairs. That's all I know. And it was so clear to me that I knew her husband, and all she was doing was talking about him. And then it come to find out that my first teacher, David, who was an acupuncturist, was his acupuncturist at the same time.
Wow.
And I never met him, but I knew I knew him. Is that weird?
So that's sort of like proof positive that you reincarnate as groups, right? That we make choices about, okay, I'll be your mom, you be your dad, and sometimes we reverse the roles, but that we're working in a pod, or like dolphins have a pod that they grow and live with. We have like a pod of soul family that we work with from one incarnation to the other.
that I knew her
So let me
husband,
just go back
and
and,
all she was doing was
rewind and I'll give
talking
people a
about him,
chance
and
to
then
phone
come to
in.
find-
And have you had any experiences
They,
about
grow
reincarnation, or
and
is this a bunch of hooey for you, or let us know what you think. But let me just talk about reincarnation just for a sec here, and why it's not in the Christian Bible, okay?
Okay.
Why isn't in the liturgy of the Christian faith? Well, because you go back to the First Council of Nicaea, which is in 325 AD. It was convened by the Emperor Constantine. This is when he became a Christian. And as the Roman Empire expanded, so did Christianity. So it was one of the ways in which you could say source consciousness said, okay, how can we expand the consciousness of Christianity? Well, let's attach it to the empire. And as the empire grows, so will everybody know throughout the empire about Christianity. So this ecumenical council was the first effort to attain consensus in the church through an assembly representing all of the Christendom about what should be included in the Bible and in the teachings or not. Okay.
Right.
And one of the things that got thrown out was the concept of reincarnation and also the laws of karma. So that's why it's not in the Christian faith. Originally it was, and it always has been. It was just a decision that was made by the fathers of the church at that time to leave this out, okay? So if you're a Christian, maybe you could just tune in and ask yourself whether that is acceptable to you or not. Because think about it, if you allow yourself to even consider the possibility, then a lot of things make more sense to you. Like, why would you be repeating the same thing over and over again in your life until you get it resolved? And if we repeat things over and over in this life until we get it figured out, don't you think it makes sense that we would repeat things over and over again from lifetime and lifetime until we get it figured out? It just makes logical sense to me. It
Yeah.
also makes sense of, oh, you meet somebody and you have this aha experience or this deja vu. Hey, I've been here before. I've met this person before. How does that come about? There has to be some connection. It's just not fantasy. It's actually a real energetic match that can come from one generation to the other.
Yeah.
So these are all clues that just to reconsider about, there's Christianity, there's Islam, and there's Judaism. And there's a body of information called the Bible. And what's in the Bible and not in the Bible has been done by consensus of the church fathers for many political reasons. And if you really want to have some background of the full faith of Christianity, you need to read the Pseudepigrapha, which are all the particular books that got thrown out of the Bible for whatever reason. So for example, there's one by Mary Magdalene, for example, that's well worth reading. So what I'm saying, there's a whole body of information because of political reasons does not include Christianity. So Christianity is far bigger and far wider and far more inclusive than the church that's called Christian church. So Christianity is a body of information that's very, very extensive beyond the limitations of what the church says is right or wrong, because that's a political decision. So there you are. I said it. I just said it right here. So there. So hopefully that will help people have a consideration about revisiting reincarnation.
Yeah.
So yeah, and reincarnation is really quite amazing because when we understand that, we can give ourselves a break, and we can understand that whatever somebody's working through, that they have been maybe trying to resolve this for many, many lifetimes, right? And this is their opportunity. Or maybe this lifetime they chose to be a beggar or somebody on the street because they wanted to work out certain karma, which we talked about yesterday, or they want to balance the book, so to speak. And so they may be a highly enlightened being who's really doing some deeper work about forgiveness and letting go, right?
Yeah.
And here we come along and say, oh, he's a guy on the street, and give him absolutely no regard whatsoever.
Yep.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's a mistake, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, and it's hard because as humans, we've been taught that the way we succeed is we have to judge what is good, what is wrong, what's right is wrong. I mean, part of the Christian tradition, there's a, you're born, in mortal sin, right? So you're always bad, rotten, and wrong, and you're trying to purify yourself by doing whatever you need to do, by doing Hail Marys or going to confession or whatever it is, or certain precepts or concepts or Hail Marys or whatever that you're supposed to do to regain your original purity or connection with source consciousness.
Mhm.
So it's always a struggle. So what if we turned the tables on that, and what if we were able to believe that that the God that we know, or the source, is all loving and always, and always has been and always will be, and so therefore loves you no matter what you do. So
Mhm.
good, bad, rotten, it's not part of the judgment, it's all part of creation. And therefore, everybody is equal in the eyes of God, whether it's an axe murder or whatever. They're all working through what they need to work through in the return path to the light, or the return path of the source. And they've all made this decision to come from being one with source, to make the descent through reincarnation and incarnation into the cycle of life and death, to have a certain experience, both on the positive and the negative, or the light and the dark, in order to grow their soul, or to expand their soul consciousness. So it's a temptation that we have